Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody and welcome to the Praise the Pickle podcast.
Yo, yeet.
This is the Praise the Pickle podcast, where we talk about video games and everything that we love, hate, and find incredibly mediocre about said video games.
You know what's mediocre? You know what's mediocre? That bike that keeps going past Kevin's house. Every episode. At the same time.
It was right as you was doing the intro.
It is actually, isn't it?
You need to mute me out that little bit there. Because I have like a little slight line going right across my screen where it's...
It's all good. We'll leave it in, don't worry. I am your host, Mr. Benjamin Watts, and I am joined by Mr. Daniel Watts.
Hi. How are you, Ben?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Wunderbar. And I'm also joined by Mr. Kevin Hart.
That's me.
How are you, Kev?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm excited. It's getting into some nitty gritty gaming.
I know, it's been a good week, man. It's been a good week. So finally, as always, please leave us some feedback on any of our social medias, which are...
That's my bit, wasn't it? That's a cue. Nice little cue that I wasn't ready for the cue.
That's all right. You should remember him off by heart now. Come on.
Instagram is Praise the Pickle Podcast.
Yep.
Twitter and Facebook is Praise the Pickle. And if you want to email us, praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com. Get yourselves over there. Get yourself some liking. See some ideas that we've got popping around.
Our social media game is getting strong, all right, and you need to get involved. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Before it becomes flooded, get in there early. Be a founder.
Be a founder.
You could be one of them people who they're there at the beginning, and then when we get really big and famous, and like we're gonna be, your name will always stand out. Your comment will be, hello, old person that has been with us since the beginning.
You'll be telling your grandchildren about the time where you were one of the first 100 subscribers on followers. That's the one. Social media game strong. You'll be telling your grandchildren about it, man. It'll be amazing. And finally, the second rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms. And yeah, that's it. That's my intro done. So Dan, just hit us with the news. Come on.
One for you to start, Ben.
For me, I ain't got any news.
Well, I mean, I don't think he did it for you specifically. I think it was for the general audience of this game, but you might like it. So, Kojima himself has published a video a little while ago, a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, which is a trailer built within Death Stranding, inspired by the new movie. This. Yeah, it's inspired by 1917, and it's basically Norman fetus running through trenches with tanks in the background and gunshots and all this sort of World War One type stuff.
That's what it was.
But he's also said on top of that whatever it is that it relates to, nobody knows what it is, but whatever it is that it does relate to is coming at some time in 2020. So it could be some DLC. It could be the PC release. It could be, I don't know, some new skins. Maybe some microtransactions. Who knows? But it's coming.
I mean, that would be awesome, though. Like that. Remember, we were talking about the sort of the foundations of that game, like what you could do with it. It would be really interesting. If they did, because they've got that such a solid foundation for a really interesting world building game.
Yeah,
like
merge the worlds.
Oh man, merge it. I want to see 1,000 readers on one page.
More than Norman.
More than Norman. Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. But I don't know. Yeah, I did see it, and I was like, I didn't really understand what it was. I was just like, what's
well,
this
that's Hideo all over, isn't it? That's just cryptic and mysterious.
That's what he does, my boy.
A little bit edgy, but we love him.
We do indeed.
We've also got an announcement that wasn't really supposed to be announced from the looks of it, which is a Borderlands movie.
What?
Yeah, we've known about it. We've known about it for a little while, and what's his name from Gearbox? The Randy Pitchford.
Yep.
Tweeted out that Eli Roth, who directed things such as Cabin Fever. No, he didn't direct Cabin Fever. What's the
Cabin in the Woods?
No, he did. He produced Cabin Fever. He produced Hemlock Grove. He produced
the horror dude, right?
Hostel. Yeah, quite a few horror movies. Yeah. Apparently, he's going to be directing the Borderlands movie.
Okay.
Weirdly, though, the tweet came out and then it was quickly deleted very, very shortly afterwards. But apparently, at PAX East on the 27th of this month, it's going to be shown at the main theatre. So.
Do we know anything about the film? Is it going to be revolving around Lilith, probably, or
no idea whatsoever? It's been very, very secretive.
Well, we know one thing.
One thing, really. It's going to be movie of the year 2020.
It's going to be shite because it's a movie based on a video game. So it's.
I'm going to be in it.
What?
Hey.
I'm in Claptrap, aren't I?
Okay. God.
Well, but not all video game adaptations to movies are bad, as we recently discovered based on the Sonic reception.
That was
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Clean segue, man.
Won it. Yeah, I'm proud of that. Sonic the Hedgehog is now the most successful video game adaptation movie of all time. It nudged out Detective Pikachu from last year or so.
And really?
It made $100 million on the first weekend, I believe.
Damn. That's actually made me quite happy because when you remember when the first trailer came out and Sonic looked weird and he had teeth
creepy
and stuff, and then there was a massive backlash and they actually went back to the drawing board and redid it, which is just
literally
mad.
the drawing board.
Yeah,
Didn't something else come out afterwards about the studio going bankrupt because they'd spent so much money fixing the problem? I don't remember what the story was of that, but I think something went horribly wrong with the animation studio that did that after the event, but they fixed it, so hopefully this has saved them. But people seem to love it. People seem to really like this film. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think any of us have seen it.
I don't really plan on seeing it, but I mean, I'm not a Sonic fan by any means whatsoever, but I'm just glad it's doing well because the fact that they actually went back to the drawing board and redid that, it's just telling of what sort of company they are, if that makes sense. And
not only that, it also shows the power of the gaming community nowadays.
Again, yeah.
It shows that we voice our opinion, and almost obviously the gaming community know most about Sonic. Yeah. And what he should look like, and I'm sure most people that aren't even into gaming, if they first saw that Sonic drawing, they would be a bit, okay, what's this about? What's this weird creature?
I didn't think it looked that bad.
It did. When you compare what it looks like now to what it was before.
Yeah, but in terms of what Sonic looks like, I get in terms of a direct comparison from the Sonic character. But in terms of me, I'm not a Sonic fan at all. But I didn't think it was all right. It wasn't that bad, I didn't think. But apart from the fact that he had teeth, that kind of creeped me out. But
yeah, it was the teeth and the eyes. It was just unusual. But again, you're probably right. It's probably people that have the image of what Sonic should look like in their head. Seeing that, it's a bit odd. But they've saved it, so that's good. And I don't know. I think it's a good sign because there are lots of. We've spoken about this before, I'm sure, video games that would make pretty good movies.
Yeah, definitely.
There is some potential there for certain games. And some games they just shouldn't touch. I don't know, Borderlands?
Sonic, I wouldn't have thought would be a game that they would do. I never think you can make a game out of Sonic. It's just about a bloke that rolls in a circle collecting rings or coins.
You say that, but the cartoon was very successful when we were younger, and apparently it's still going quite strong now. on kids' TV channels, Sonic
That's
is quite
mad.
popular. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Borderlands is going to be a shite.
I don't think he's gonna. Matt, you could be optimistic.
Kev, just
Ben.
get your head out your butt, okay? Borderlands is
it'll be
clearly
shite.
going to be shite.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
be
doubt
garbage.
about it. And
I hope you're wrong and you eat your words.
I hope I'm
man.
wrong as well, because I like a good movie as much as the next guy. But
No,
I
you
know,
don't. You hate every movie.
Excuse me, Kevin. You're just one that like. Can I just explain something to the audience here, okay? Kevin came back from seeing Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, whatever it was called, and said it was great.
He said it was great.
You did.
All credibility
no, it was very good, and that's it. That's it. I don't trust anything you say ever again in terms of movies. Never.
Have you seen 1917?
No, I haven't.
I don't know what to say about it anymore.
Kevin, it doesn't matter what you think of it because your credibility is now completely gone.
No. People need to be optimistic. They need to love.
No, some things you just shouldn't touch. Like, some games are perfectly fine as games and should not be like played with.
Yeah, but you don't know what can and can't be good. Borderlands has a lot of background. It has a lot. To it.
Come on, stay off of it. Borderlands is just a little freaking funky game, isn't it? Like it's not. There's no like. Oh, there's so much lore to it that they can discover and think. It's like no, it's nothing like that at all. It's a very face value game. Like there's no reason for it to be a movie.
No, there's not. And the comedy was
there.
Good
You go.
When you were about 12 and played it for the first time. Like it's not.
Yeah, Kev, how did you find the comedy in the most recent Borderlands?
It has its moments.
It has its moments. All right, sassy pants. Jesus.
Did I sound like that? Really?
You did.
Rewind. It has its moments.
That is not getting edited. Just so you know.
Oh, sassy pants.
But Dan, you have to agree it had its moments of being quite humorous. It wasn't as funny as the previous games.
Like it was like
Don't get me wrong.
30-40 hour game and there was maybe one bit that made me laugh.
No, there wasn't.
That's not a great track record, Kev.
No, it's not.
To say.
The first one and the second one were hilarious. Like Handsome Jack was a legend. But then
Dan, they weren't. They were hilarious for the time
I know.
you played them.
Let me finish my point.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
sorry.
How do you know, Ben? You didn't play them.
I've played the first one for about an hour.
They were really funny when you were little, but it was stupid funny. Like it was just silly and ridiculous. And Claptrap was great. But you go play it now, and it's just not. It's not.
Hey,
the same.
a movie for kids then? What's wrong with that?
Borderlands is not for kids, Kevin. It's violent and
yeah.
sexual and like.
It's not sexual.
It's definitely.
You know
I mean,
what? You know
come
what
on,
they've done.
Mad Moxie.
They've looked at this and they've gone, "Oh, it's like a Mad Max, isn't it?" And they're just going to make like some super serious Mad Max thing, but with like trying to add comedy tones in there or something, and it's just going to be shite.
Yeah, it's going to be shite.
And
also, they've got a horror movie director. He's never made. I mean,
yeah, that's not going to help.
He did Hostel, which I heard was pretty good. I think
it was very good.
I don't remember. But on the list that I'm looking at now, I don't really see anything else that even reminds me remotely of Borderlands. Oh, we did Baywatch. He was co-producer on that even.
There you go. He knows how to shoot a sexy moment.
Perfect. Great kids movie.
That's what. It's just claptrap in a bikini.
No, I'd go and see it for that.
Anyway,
him and his little pizza party.
That's enough Borderlands. It's going to be shite. Dan, next story.
Next story is: did you guys ever play Homeworld? I don't know if you did. Homeworld was an RTS game, PC only, I believe. There was 3 or 4 of them.
I don't
really
think
good.
So.
The first 2 or 3 were in the space setting, like spaceships, RTS. And then there was another one called Deserts of Karak, which was set in a desert with rovers, and it's all vehicle based.
Okay.
Anyway, those guys, Blackbird Interactive, have got a new game coming out called Hard Space. People are pretty excited about it because I think they had a game that was coming out and then it got cancelled, and now they're making something completely different. But it looks pretty good. I just wanted to mention it because the trailer is kind of a teaser. It's about 2 minutes and a half, 2 minutes long, and it's an FPS, but you kind of drift around in space as like a salvager with real-time physics-based laser weapons where you can cut pieces off ships and salvage them, but you can actually cut quite precisely and like take chunks off and all that. But it's got an interesting looking narrative to it.
This is well up my street, man. I love
it. Are you looking at it now?
Game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I thought I'd mention it because not many people are talking about it yet, and I think it's looking pretty good. Their RTS games were brilliant. Homeworld was great.
I think. I mean, RTS games are a niche in itself, really. So you have to be a very particular.
Really, RTS games are huge.
Yeah, but it's still. I'd say it's a niche.
Really? Age of Empires? Everyone's played Age of Empires.
Okay, apart from Age of Empires, yeah. But I mean, a lot of people have like not that. I don't know. I feel like it's a very subsect of gamers that play RTS games, like Adam.
And you could say the same about like FPS games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can say that about FPS games.
Yeah, no, you can't say about FPS games.
You know,
aren't FPS the biggest?
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's FPS and platformers and stuff that sort of go across so many different audiences. But I feel like RTS is like I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of it personally, so maybe I'm a bad example. But anyway, move on.
I wouldn't call it a niche. RTS is not a niche.
It's a niche.
Whatever. This one. I like this one. So, a little while ago, a couple of days ago, you could go onto Google and you could type in Steam Store in Google, and the first thing that came up was obviously Steam Store. And you know how in Google, when you see a website, it shows you like a little preview of what's on the site?
Yeah.
Like a little paragraph or something like that. So, we're not sure whether this was intentional yet. Whether it was a calculated thing or whether it was a mere coincidence, but the preview on this particular day, this particular time, was in capital letters with, like the ASCII art, where you make like a picture out of keyboard symbols. In capital letters, the preview underneath the official Steam Store Google link was "Fuck the Epic Game Store" with a big middle finger.
Oh, it's so good.
Sadly, it's been removed. Basically, it related to a particular user review for a game. I think it was Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
And somebody just happened to post it at that time, and it just happened to come up as the preview for the entire Steam Store.
That is amazing.
And I think that's brilliant. So, a little bit of lightheartedness for you. Steam have fixed it now, very sadly.
Boring Steam. Man, go away, Steam.
Yeah, they should have just done what every other company does and just been like, sorry, we can't.
What?
If anything, Steam should keep it on there because they're competing with Epic Game Store.
Yeah, it's not their words, is it? It's a user review.
No, it's quoting.
That's a good point. Sad news: Sony have backed out of PAX East. PAX East is obviously a very large event.
They're going to PAX West.
What is there a PAX West?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there must be.
Oh, is there? Oh.
Yeah. Keep your jokes to yourself. Yeah.
Increasing concerns over a particular infectious disease that is spreading at the moment. Wait, is a virus an infectious disease? Ben, help me out here. Do I sound stupid right now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Coronavirus obviously causing problems and concerns. However, PAX East have come out, I think, and said that they're going to try and run the event safely and as usual anyway.
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, it's not a disease.
That's what I thought. It didn't sound right.
No, it's an infection. Sorry, I had a brain fart.
Ben has a medical degree.
I know, I'm so sorry. I'll cut that bit out, don't worry.
Ben's degree is going to get revoked. So people in suits are going to turn up at his house. Just hold their hands out.
Sure hope no one from work listens to this.
So Sony won't be there. However, they've obviously got something on the horizon, so hopefully we'll see some news. Speaking of which, I haven't written this down yet, but I've just remembered. There was a potential leak from a particular individual or NeoGAF. There's basically a next generation thread that's been going on since forever. And the community basically agreed that when we get to 1,000 pages, a new piece of information is going to come out.
Ooh.
And on the 1,000th page of the thread, which is quite a large thread, obviously, a chap came forward and said, bearing in mind this chap was potentially responsible for the first accurate rumour of the PlayStation 4 Pro, potentially a couple of other things, so there's reason to believe he could be relatively reliable. He's come out and said that he actually got a chance to play some next generation games with the developers in the room. And I don't have it in front of me because I forgot to write this down, but paraphrasing, he describes it in some vague detail, and he talks about all of the physics in the game being based on real world. So one of the things he described was bullets hitting the wall in this shoot 'em up thing that apparently had really good AI on the enemies, and chunks of the wall would fall off, and you could see how they fell in a realistic way, and underneath them you could see the pipes and the rigging that was holding the building together. So potentially very realistic destruction.
Can I butt in?
Yeah.
Two like questions. Do you like the idea that games are becoming more and more like what you kind of might think it would be like in real life?
Yeah.
You do like that it's not... Games are a fantasy.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
And it's taking that fantasy away from being a fantasy to something that is almost...
I think, Kev, you're confusing a simulating... A game which is supposed to be a simulator with physics. Because, like, realistic physics would benefit any game, regardless of the genre of that game. Realistic physics is a good thing. But, like, I understand why for example, a lot of people don't like, what's that, Armour game, for example, because it's a simulator. Or a lot of people don't like Gran Turismo because it was a simulator back in the day. And I get that. If it's just if you're simulating real life, then I understand why that could be quite boring. But just physics engines being as close to real life as possible makes even the fantastical things more interesting.
But my point of view is that physics is one element of it, but whether we like it or not, the graphics and the visuals and the sound are getting closer to real life as well. And I think what you're saying, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's something disconcerting about that at some point we're going to move away from fantasy and the games that we play are going to be just like real life and therefore not have the fun element. I don't think that's true. I think the fact that the technology is going in that direction is a really good thing. I think it will allow us to have fantastical experiences that are so close to real life that it makes the subtle fantasy elements even more enjoyable. So, for example, imagine you're playing in a virtual reality game where it's identical to real life, but the only change in this fantasy world, everything else looks the same, feels the same, smells the same, etc. But the only difference is you can fly. And to me, I play that. I think that sounds great. I don't care how realistic it is. If there's a world that I can go into where it's so believable and yet I can add in the fun elements to it at will, I think that's a great thing. I think that's really positive. And it's not like all games are going that way. Even when we get to the point where games are photorealistic and perfect simulations of reality, we're still going to have games like Celeste, and we're still going to have Minecraft, and we're still going to have all those other games to fill that other void. But...
So it's almost going to be a double end of the spectrum. You're going to have the potentially real life kind of Call of Duty, Battlefields type game where it's going to have realistic, anything that would happen in real life happens in the game type thing. But then you're going to go to the other side of the spectrum, like Halo or any very make believe type place.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about games, isn't it? The fact that
you can do anything.
We can open up Steam now, and we've got such a wide variety of things that we can experience. I don't think that's going to change. I think the driving force behind the technology is that desire to become closer to real life and become more believable or more just visceral and relatable. That is important for the technology to keep driving forwards. If we all said now we're perfectly happy with how games are, then the 3D rendering capabilities that we're looking to achieve would just stop going anywhere. And there's this innate human desire to keep rendering more and more realistic things, and gaming is a huge part of that. And I'm excited to play super hyper realistic games. That doesn't necessarily mean I want to play super hyper realistic violent games. It just means there's, something there to look forward to.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Sit down.
No, it's a valid point.
I wasn't saying that as a bad thing.
No, I'm joking.
I was just saying it more of maybe it's an opinionated thing that things becoming too realistic might not always be a good idea. Maybe some people would prefer it just to not go too far into the realistic area.
I'm just saying, if you don't want to play realistic games, don't play simulators and you'll be fine.
It's not even about simulators. I mean, okay, for example, Call of Duty, I described when I played the campaign, that one scene where I thought to myself, you actually look like a human.
Yeah.
It's crazy how realistic it is. And it almost takes you back to that when we spoke about the Game of the Year podcast. That wasn't Game of the Year podcast. When we're talking about that Skyrim situation where he basically thought he was in Skyrim.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Game of the Year.
No, yeah. You go from... I mean, he thought he was in the real world when he left the game of Skyrim and there's dragons around. Imagine someone leaving a game that actually looks like real life, and he...
There's bound to be some ethical and psychological implications to that, but I don't think it's worth hindering the progress of technology because of those occasional cases where people can't handle it.
Yeah.
And there's the whole Cyberpunk Future that we all imagine as well, where VR is going to become better. These video game worlds are going to become more enjoyable and nicer to be in than the real world, and people will just therefore plug themselves in 24/7 and never leave. And that's that's a weird place to imagine. But I think we're potentially going in that direction, and it's going to have some impact on society. But hey, I just want Call of Duty to look real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to fly, basically.
I can't even remember what the news story was. What's
The news story was
the person playing.
Sony, yeah, he played some next gen
stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that he also mentioned was that the developer, apparently they had many drinks together, and this guy opened up a bit more than he should have over drinks. Apparently the demo was playing in... This chap asked the developer, so what is this, 4K 60 FPS? And the developer said, no, it's targeting 4K 90. So that's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. If that's the case, then Jesus Christ, what is the power under that hood, man? That is mad.
It's going to be a dev kit that they're playing on, obviously.
Yeah.
And what you'll generally find, I think, is that if the target overall is 60 FPS, then developers will try and aim for about 90, so that even in the spikes and the drops, it's still
60 or more. Yeah. But again, what is under that hood? If they're running games at 4K 60 FPS, that is mad. My computer can't even do that.
And people unless
we're talking some shocking textures and stuff, then that
with realistic physics and AI and everything else. The interesting thing about that, obviously, it's only a rumor. Take it with a big old handful of salt and all that. The interesting thing about that, apparently he played many games, quite a few, and they were all running at this sort of resolution. It might go down, might go up at launch. People are now speculating that we thought at one point it was going to be 9 to 10 teraflops, which is kind of how you measure GPU. And that if it ever got to 12, then we're looking at some beast of a machine. And now, a few months later, people are saying it's looking quite likely that we're going to be at about the 12 mark, if not higher, which is crazy. It's going to make modern high-end gaming PCs that we play on look a bit meh.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
I'm glad I spent all my money on my PC now.
Yeah.
Well, you're a journalist now, Kevin. You have to have all the consoles.
Exactly.
Give me some money,
Nervous laugh.
And then he cries.
Another interesting story that came out of this, after he described it, I read this somewhere else, that Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, how do you say it? Is it Ubi?
Doesn't matter. I'll be
Ubisoft.
I'll be saved.
Who are the biggest games producer in the Europe at the moment? The Europe. Yes,
the Europe. This particular
See what
Europe.
Brexit's done to me? The Europe. They have just said that, I don't know if it was them or the developers, but somebody at the team at Ubisoft that develop Rainbow Six Siege have said they're looking to have Siege available day one with crossplay on the next generation consoles. And if you look at what Siege is and how it plays, with all of the destruction in the game and the way that this guy describes the game that he experienced, there's a chance that he was talking about Siege, which suddenly makes it feel a little bit less impressive because it's a current gen game, not a next gen game.
But then if they're completely reworking it for next gen, but I don't think they would cross-platform. They can't rework it if it's cross-platform, because that would be especially a game where you can literally make little peepholes to kill people through and stuff like that. If you change the physics engine, it would completely screw up the game.
Yeah, well, that's what he's speculating. That's what people are speculating at the moment. That maybe he was talking about this, maybe he wasn't. We don't really know, but we're going to see some cool destruction engines in next gen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The good news is that Rainbow Six Siege, very well established, very successful, very good shooter game, will be available on the next gen from launch, which is great. It means that people are going to get to jump straight into something they know is going to be good or they've played before. So I think that's a good sign. It'll keep the community kind of thriving.
Yeah.
From the get-go. That was a mad segue. And as I say, Ubisoft being the number one games producer in Europe, they're now being quite closely tailed by another company who have recently released some numbers. CD Projekt Red are now the second biggest in Europe, with a massive boost in sales over the last 16 months, based on The Witcher, etc. Their market value grew to more than 8 billion this week, which is madness.
They haven't even got that many games.
I was about to say, have they got any smaller games out there, or is it just their big, like massive beasts?
They have franchises, I guess, don't they?
Well, they must do, yeah. And I don't think this even includes GOG, to be honest. I think this is just CD Projekt, and as far as I'm aware, it's just a handful of really big industry-leading games. They've got Gwent. So yeah,
that's what I mean. It's all part of the same franchise, isn't it?
On their website, it's Gwent, Thronebreaker, which are both Witcher series card games. Witcher 1, 2, 3, and Cyberpunk.
That's
the Witcher adventure game.
Absolutely insane that they have that much money. That must include GOG, man, surely.
No, I don't think it does. I think that's purely CD Projekt.
That's just insane.
I could be wrong on that. One of our millions of fans can write in and tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, it's crazy. So they're now the second biggest in Europe, and that's really cool because they haven't even started selling CD Cyberpunk yet.
Yeah.
So they are killing it.
They could quite easily become number one after Cyberpunk.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the difference is.
But Cyberpunk's going to be like the biggest game of the generation, probably. So I think.
Yeah, but will it be as big as? We don't know. I don't know what the difference. I don't know how much Ubisoft compared to that 8 billion number. They could be like they're at 50 billion. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, we are talking games companies in the EU. I don't know what's even close. Like, because obviously like, the biggest ones are like Activision Blizzard, but that's America. EA, which is also America. And then I guess Ubisoft and CD. Do you know what I mean? Like, who would come close after that? And so Ubisoft are clearly going to be in the lead, aren't they? Like, there's nothing to even compare to that. So,
I don't know, mate. Speaking of segues, The Witcher 3 actually has some new features, which is amazing. And this, particularly The Witcher 3 on the Switch, this one feature amongst the other things that they've released with this patch could be the thing that makes me buy it again. I bought it at least twice so far in my life, and I'm probably going to buy it a third time now because Witcher 3 now has cross. Well, did you just call me a mong bean?
What are you?
What the hell's a mong bean?
I don't know, but you seem to have some kind of negative reaction to it, so it works.
Mong bean. Yes, this mong bean is now going to buy Witcher 3 again because it now supports cross-save between both Steam and the GOG versions of the game, which means obviously you can take your save and cross it back and forth between your Switch version and your PC version, which is amazing because the only reason I didn't buy Witcher 3 on the Switch, really, because playing it in handheld sounds like a dream, was that I didn't want to start again because I had like 50 hours so far and I was having so much fun with it and I just really didn't want to do all of that again. I'm sure it'd be fine, but I don't want to do it for a third time. And it finally supports it, so they've listened to people and just given it to us, and I think that's amazing.
That is mad.
To us.
More of that. I want more, especially the big RPG games. I know that Divinity Original Sin have done it, and now Witcher have done it. I need to see more of that. I think that's key in getting people to buy the game again. And porting well. I think that's going to be
the only thing though is that surely you have to. Do you not have to buy the game on all the consoles?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying if you've already got it, but you want to play the game handheld, you can just pick up from where you left off now. So yeah, you'd have to buy it again, but they're saying you don't have to buy it again and also start all over again.
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22, really, isn't it?
Not really.
Not really.
Well, maybe.
If you want to play a handheld, buy it. If you don't.
Yeah, but you've already got the game. It's kind of making.
Yeah, but
that's like saying if you've got it, then we're just going to give you all of the different ports on all the platforms for free.
Well, they should, because they should be nice.
Oh yeah, so when you're going to go out and buy a PS4, and then all of your Xbox games are going to be on that, yeah.
Oh, what a dream!
Yeah, a dream because it ain't going to happen.
Dang it!
On top of that feature, they've also added touch control support. Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I guess it would be good for Gwent, maybe? I don't know what else.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird
save file integration, which is amazing. More languages, more graphical options. Now, I thought this was super interesting because when the game first launched, some people managed to hack the kernel and play it on a hacked version of the Switch. And suddenly in the options, they had this whole extra section for post-processing, which had things like blur and bloom and sharpening, depth of field, light shafts, underwater effects, anti-aliasing on a Switch, which is really unusual. And people were playing with it and getting different performance and making the visuals tweak slightly. And basically, they just opened all of it up to people, which is just bizarre because no game studio has ever really done that on a console before. The closest thing you ever get is on things like the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X, where you get like frame rate optimized mode or visual optimized mode. Do you want 4K 30 FPS or do you want 1080p 60 for example? That's the closest thing you ever get. You never see this in a console, mainly because people just want to pick up the game and play it and not mess around. Like me trying to get my bloody render resolution on Call of Duty the other day to a playable level. But
stabilized.
I think that's cool. Yeah. Oh, God, don't remind me.
Oh, we're going to remind you, don't worry.
No. Multiple performance optimizations and lots of bug fixes, so credit to them. Another bit of news, actually, based on this that I'd forgotten about is... I cannot remember the details, so I'm going to forget about it.
Cool.
A big company has bought another games company for lots of money, amongst things like time splitters and stuff like that. So,
okay.
And that was the vaguest news story ever. So, something happened there, and I forgot to write it.
I can't even look that up. That's how vague that was. I wouldn't even know what to Google to look that story up.
Oh, who was it? That's going to bug me. Never mind, it'll come to me halfway through something else later. I think I've got one more thing, maybe two. Oh, okay, Halo Infinite. We've not really heard much about it yet. Apparently we're going to see lots more at E3 about Halo Infinite. The Phil, whose surname I get mixed up with the other Phil, has said that
Spencer.
Which one?
Spencer.
Phil Harrison has said that he's going to potentially show more of Halo. I think he said this. But one thing that has been confirmed is that they are partnering with Esports Engine because they want Infinite to have a very competitive multiplayer scene. So they're really pushing hard on that side of things, which lots of the fans are going to be happy to hear.
That would be cool, man. I feel like there's a bit of a gap in the market for that type of sort of first-person shooter.
Yeah,
esports.
I think I would watch Halo Esports.
I think I would as well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd get into it myself because I never really played. I mean, I played a little bit like Halo in LANs and stuff, but yeah, I can see it being fun with like proper ranked leaderboards and seeing the pros play and synergize with each other.
It would feel a bit like 'cause I always thought it felt similar to Unreal Tournament. More jumpy around and just that sort of just fast paced style, which a lot of other games don't really have. If that makes sense. Yeah. It's like pure skill based and nothing else to it. Just skill. Exactly. That is it. I think there's definitely a gap for that type of esport.
Definitely, and hopefully a sequel to Red vs Blue. We have a couple more things that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is I'm so fucking bored of talking about Activision, but it's kind of
I love it. I'm ready.
Kind of a big deal, so I'll mention it anyway. The year ending March. Sorry, years don't end in March. That's the tax year. The year ending December the 31st, 2019. 34% of the total revenue for that period came from mobile games. So 34%. Bearing in mind there are 3 categories, 34% is now over a third, which means Activision are now technically a mobile games company.
How?
Because you'd be surprised, I haven't got a list here, but Activision own, for example, there's a mobile company called King. They have things like Candy Crush and
they own them.
Busters and all those sorts of games, and they make a fortune.
Yeah, they do. I think most of it comes from my mum.
Yeah, exactly.
The woman spends so much money and time on them games.
I mean, yeah, my mum was playing some word search game on her phone earlier, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was also an Activision.
Did it have a little circle at the bottom where the letters were?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Charlotte has been playing that. Honestly, she must be if she's not the top player in the world by now, then there's something seriously wrong because I don't know how many hours she's put into that, but she pretty much plays it for at least 2 hours a day, and she's been playing it for like years. I don't get it.
You should get her on to talk about it. I'd love to hear it.
No.
So not only that, but they have obviously Call of Duty Mobile, which people really like, and that's got something like 150 million installs.
Yeah,
and
love a duck.
To put that into perspective, a really successful AAA game will sell somewhere in the region of like 3 to 6 million. A really, really successful game will sell like 10, and I think something massive will sell 20 to 50 at most. I think over all the different versions and generations, I think GTA 5 maybe sold 50 million overall across all platforms.
Yeah.
Last gen, new gen, re-release, all that. They've got 150 million installs, and I know it's a free game, so it's not quite the same, but it's huge audience that play that.
What is what's the one that's really popular at the moment? That's on every advert.
Oh, I don't even want to say it. Chill out. Yeah, the one that said like every single YouTuber is like getting sold out to. Fucking
Oh, Raid a Shadow Dark Legends.
Yes, that one.
I think I just butchered the name. I don't know what it is.
That might be Activision as well. It's obviously a Chinese company that make that and produce it, but you know how Activision and China are in bed with each other.
Just for the record, the top-selling video game. I'm surprised you didn't get this, Dan, as a video game journalist. The top-selling video game of all time is Minecraft with 180 million sales.
There you go. That's mad.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, Call of Duty Mobile has been out for a fraction of the time.
Yeah, that is insane.
So
yeah,
it's on 150 million already.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And Minecraft's also a mobile game as well. You have to remember that. So
Oh yeah, it's got mobile. It's got every single console. It's got the PC. It's got the Java version. It's got the Windows version. It's got the Mac ones and the Linux ones. And
it's a mad thing.
So yeah, Activision are now officially a mobile company, and I'm gonna pinch my tongue. Pinch my tongue. It's bite your tongue, isn't it?
No. Pinch it, Dan. Pinch your tongue.
It had salt on it.
So, last little bit of news before one more thing I want to talk about quickly is that another rumor type mill thing. A new Sony patent shows PSVR controllers with finger tracking. Filed in 2016, 2017, which would make sense. The new one has just become public, and apparently the controllers, I mean, you can see the diagrams, but it looks like it's going to be more along the lines of the Knuckles controllers that you get, like the index ones, etc.
Yeah.
Where you can track each finger. And we all know that one of the biggest flaws of the last PSVR was those god-awful controllers, those bloody PlayStation Move recycled pieces of
you have
garbage.
to give them credit, man. You have to,
I do. Yeah,
the fact that they created this VR and used technology that had already been out was
massive cost savings.
Really genius move from them. And it wasn't terrible. I wouldn't say it was god awful. I'd say it worked in most cases. I wish a year or two after the PSVR had come out that they'd released something a bit better. Yeah, but a year or two after that, they're now focused on a PS5. Like they're just like, let's leave this behind us. And
but when you, it's okay. It does the job, and I give them credit for that. But anyway, it's nice to know that next generation we won't be using PlayStation 3 peripherals. We will be hopefully using something a bit better. With full finger control, which makes a massive difference in VR. If you can move your fingers around and pinch things, and actually pull triggers realistically, and all that kind of stuff.
It sounds, for people that haven't played VR, it sounds like a really tiny thing, but just I guess it's hard to explain how much of an impact that has. And any slight feature that makes it more realistic in VR is such a massive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, games that have free movement and compared to games that have only teleporting movement, like the difference is massive.
Well, the difference between like single spot VR with a camera pointed to your head and room scale VR, being able to walk around your room but actually physically walk around the virtual space.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge difference. So that's pretty cool. PSVR 2 is going to be dope, especially if it's looking at 4K 90 FPS.
If PSVR gets announced early on for PlayStation, then that's my decision done, basically, like on next gen.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. I'm potentially going to go PSVR anyway. Sorry, PS5 anyway. The Xbox Game Pass might persuade me the other way, but I feel like the PSVR 2 is going to be good regardless. It's going to have... Anyway,
yeah, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Well, once they confirm PSVR 2, then that's my decision set in stone. That's what I need. That's like the final nail in the coffin sort of thing. But if they don't, then I'll still consider Xbox,
Well, when we get more details, we should do some next-gen specials where we all kind of argue about
what one
we're going to get.
Yeah, unless we all agree that we want one of them, and so that would be... would be much of an argument. I want the PS5. Same. Yeah. Okay.
Right, well, we should have a debate then.
We should have a debate.
Devil's
That'd be good.
Or something.
Yeah. I'm good at playing Devil's Advocate. I'll do that.
You are.
Everyone seems to think I'm sort of bloody Nazi or something.
That's all my news, but I do want to talk about a couple of little things. Well, there's the Animal Crossing thing.
I've got one more bit of news. Do you want me to do it now or after your couple of other things?
Is it related to Animal Crossing?
No.
Is it related to a very recent Media Molecule game that was released?
No.
Okay, go for it then.
Alright. So, the nuke is falling. Alright. The nuke is falling straight onto Google Stadia's head. Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to announce some new Google Stadia games?
Yes.
Oh.
So, falling... They've thrown a few mobile games at it. It didn't work. they threw Panzer Dragoon at it, and it sort of wiggled a little bit, and they're like, oh, we're onto something here. And then they threw Serious Sam collection, and it started falling faster. So they've come back. All right, they've noticed the nuke is close, and they're like, oh god, what are we going to do? They have announced 4 SteamWorld games.
Some of which is supposed to be pretty good.
Yes. Aren't they all on mobile, though?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
On Switch and every other platform.
Yeah, but they haven't even given them release dates, which is just insane. Like, they're desperate now. Do you know what I mean? Like they've come out with this stuff, and surely at this point they should just be like, right, we need to get some games out there now. You know, they can't just be like, oh yeah, SteamWorld's coming. What hype is that? No one cares about that. Like,
no, I kind of wanted to play Gilgamesh.
Yeah, but you know, you're not going to sit there and go, oh great, it's coming to Stadia, therefore I'll wait for it on there, when you can just play it on your mobile or your PC or your Xbox or your PlayStation or your Switch or your...
At least they're not just pushing it out there as a buggy mess, because we already know that developers have to put a fair bit of work in to get these things functioning well.
I suppose.
Obviously, but they surely they knew that was going to be the case when releasing this project. I feel as if they're just they're honestly just lost, and they have no other option but to release these crappy little nonsense.
Don't get me wrong,
games.
SteamWorld games are very good. A lot of them have got like 9 out of 10s and stuff. They are good games. They're definitely the best out of all the ones they announced last week and this week. But just for them to announce it without even a release date is a bit of a slap in the face, in my opinion. It's just a bit like it's kind of like them going, oh look, so we said there was going to be 120 games. Look, these are 4 of them. Oh cool, when they're coming out? Oh, I don't know yet. It's just a bit like,
never.
Come on, man! You need to do something, and you need to do it quickly, like really quickly, or you're fucked.
Well, they've expanded the mobile phone support now as well, so it now works on more than just the Pixel. Which is
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
And they're also saying that it's going to come pre-installed on lots of new smartphones when people buy them, which I think's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, I'm guessing on the Pixel phones, it's going to be part of the Google package, isn't it? Probably.
But Android is. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
So it could, if that is the case, and suddenly people, check out their new phone and they're going through all the apps and they go, oh, look, Stadia, and they click on it and you say, oh, you get 3 months for free. People are like, oh, why not? Let's see what's on it. Oh, wow, I can play AAA games on 5G. Boom, let's go. After 3 months, they have to renew it.
What if they completely... You know how Apple Arcade works? Where it's completely integrated within the standard App Store?
Yeah.
What if they did that with Stadia and the Play Store? Where, it was almost seamless that you were using Stadia. That it was just a feature that the phone has... But you could just go through the Play Store and be like, oh, cool, Doom Eternal's on it. And you buy it and you can just play Doom Eternal through Stadia, but it's not its own thing. It's just like a... Do you know what I mean? Like almost like you click on the game and it says, oh, to play this you need the internet sort of thing. It's going to be streamed. And it's like, okay.
And the weird thing about that is most mobile games require an internet connection to play.
Exactly,
anyway.
yeah. We're talking a much better internet connection here.
Sure,
But if they seamlessly integrate it with Play Store, that could be their saving grace. If it wasn't a completely separate entity and people could just download games or play games, whatever, through the Play Store, but some of them just run through Stadia because they can't run on the native hardware sort of thing.
Maybe they'll go towards that line later on in the project, depending if they don't just completely throw it in the graveyard.
That's true.
I don't think they're done for yet. I think they have had a really awful start, but I wouldn't count them out of the race just yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I don't know, man. They've released it at a very bad time. I think that's the issue. You got the next gen on the horizon, and every other company saying we're releasing a streaming platform too. So it's like,
Well, exactly. And they got it out first, and I think that was the only option that they had. If you think about it, if they'd waited until after next gen came out, nobody's gonna go and buy a Stadia controller when they're quite happy with their brand new shiny Xbox X or whatever. So
maybe
I think they had to get it out there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wouldn't count them out yet, but let's keep an eye on them because it's going
to
be some.
I'll have Stadia news for you every week. Don't worry.
You can be the Stadia man from now on. Yeah,
we're missing the Blizzard news now. Come on.
All right, Dan.
I need Angry Dan back.
They're cold, dead hearts. Okay. All right, hit us with some Animals Crossing roads.
So very quickly, Animal Crossing had a not a Nintendo Direct. God, that made my heart hurt. I really need a Nintendo Direct in my life right now.
Was it not a Nintendo Direct?
No, that was an Animal Crossing Direct. That wasn't a Nintendo Direct. We haven't had one yet. We're all like clutching onto the sides of the ride.
It's been a while, wasn't it? Jesus.
It's way later than we expected, and not even an announcement of one yet.
I mean, to be fair, we've got how long? 8 days left of February, and everyone was saying that the PlayStation thingy State of Play was going to be in February, so we're running out of time here.
Yeah. Things are crawling along at the moment, but there was an Animal Crossing Direct. We spoke in a previous episode about the lack of a save data recovery feature. We also spoke in the last episode about how Nintendo have now removed that section. In their Direct video, they actually had a section in there saying that at some point after launch, you will be able to recover your saved data. In certain circumstances, I think they said, which was a bit weird, but hey, at least they're doing something about it. So I just wanted to address that. And I also want to talk very briefly.
Hold on.
About.
Did you look into this save data thing? Because I've saw some very other news which was very interesting about it.
Go on.
So, you can the idea is that you can only transfer it once through an emergency protocol. So it's not a feature.
To certain circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, but you can only transfer it once. It's a one-time deal, apparently.
I don't know if they would enforce that. I think if you lost the console again, or something bad happened, they wouldn't say, well, tough shit. I think they would still do it. They're just saying that it's not going to be a normal thing. You'll have to raise a ticket and all this kind of stuff, probably. It's a shame that it doesn't just work like every other game. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just download or sign up for Nintendo Online and just back up your data into the cloud and download it when you want it.
It's just like Nintendo. I get it, thank you, I guess, but come on, man, get with the times, please.
Hopefully that changes at some point.
I mean,
people were buzzing about this Animal Crossing Direct. So I don't know. It's almost like people were so excited about the game at this point that they've forgotten all of this other shit. They're just like, oh, it looks so good. I can have glowy mushrooms and stuff.
Yeah,
but who doesn't like glowy mushrooms?
They were very interesting looking glowy mushrooms. Let's talk about Dreams very quickly because it's come out very recently. Finally, after 6 or 7 years.
I need to get this, man.
I saw such a good thing earlier on.
Go on, tell me, what did you see?
It's a game coming out this year. It kind of looks like Sekiro. I can't remember what it's called. Like Ghost of
Tsushima.
Yeah, Tsushima.
Tsushima.
That's a food, right, Kev?
Is it? Oh, okay. It goes to food. Yeah, that someone made it in that, and it looks sweet as.
They made a short sequence from the trailer, and actually that was 6 months ago in the early access in the beta.
Oh, bloody hell!
That was made, and it's just gone public. So it's pretty crazy what people are making in such a short period of time, especially with early versions of the game. Now the full game is out. We got things like Mario clones. We've got completely custom projects with amazing looking visuals, like the Ghost of Tsushima thing. Somebody's even built like a fully working replica of like Fallout 4, or at least a small section of it, with quests and all of the looting mechanics and the Pip-Boy and all of that stuff. And it's just, I think it's a really interesting time for game development in terms of what this allows people to do, because it really does open a lot of creative doors, and we're going to start seeing, I mean, if we're seeing stuff like this just a few days after launch, then imagine what we're going to be seeing in a year or two. People are going to start developing fully fledged games on this.
I know, it is mad, yeah.
It's crazy what people are making.
They can make
absolutely mad.
Warcraft 3, but good.
They could quite happily and quite easily make an RTS. There's no real limitation on what you can do with this to a degree. Like the guy that made it, I can't remember his name, one of the producers at Media Molecule. He did one of those quick fire questions thing on YouTube where somebody just asked him like 200 questions really fast, like snappy answers, and then 30 of the questions were like, can you make Metal Gear Solid? Yes. Can you make Minecraft? Yes. Can you make, like, just listing all these different games? You're like, yes, you can quite literally do anything. And it's accessible and it allows people to just do it.
Is it as, like, versatile as Unity?
There will be some limitations in place in terms of what the console can handle.
Yes, fair point. Yeah.
So in terms of like,
you can't make like a 8K game on it.
No, because you don't have access to like the pure code in terms of optimization and memory management and all that kind of stuff. You won't be able to do all of that. But in terms of just making an original project, like, or remaking an older game or something like that, you can totally do pretty much anything, and the limitations are pretty vast. When next gen comes out, that's going to open up even more. I think the visual styles are probably relatively limited as well. It has a certain look to it. Like, you can almost look at any Dreams game and just at a glance, this kind of subtle flavour comes through, and you're like, oh, that's a Dreams game. You can just kind of tell.
Yeah.
But it's got a certain charm to it, like a signature to it, which I think is interesting.
But I think I was listening to IGN podcast last week, and one of them mentioned something which I thought was really interesting. How good would this game be pre-installed on the PS5?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is the perfect next step for it as like a launch platform for it, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost like its own section within the dashboard store, or the store or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like it's there, and you can go on it. And that means when you buy a PS5, you have access to all of these games straight away. Loads of people can make games, and all with the new PS5, the specs wise, you can obviously make more demanding things, and I think that would be amazing. Like the Wii Sports equivalent, but coming out with the PS5 would just be incredible, man.
Well, Little Big Planet became a bundle game pretty quickly, which was made by the same people, and people made some pretty cool stuff in that. But this is so much more. I'm really excited to see what happens with this. I just love the idea that you could be developing a landscape of forest. Let's take a forest, it's an easy one. And you've built a few trees and you've sculpted a few things and you've animated some animals in there and whatnot. And you're like, oh, I'm missing some flowers. And you just go onto the search and you type in flowers, and suddenly all of these different flowers that other people have made, you can just pull it straight into your game.
Yeah,
stick
it's
it in
mad,
there.
Isn't it?
That person's name gets added into the credits immediately, and then you're like, oh, I need some music, and then suddenly all these musicians come up, and you pick their music, and they get added into your credits.
It's so good because it's like you could make almost not like a career, but as a hobby, you could just make just random shite. Like, I could be like, I'm gonna make an answer machine for a phone today. That's going to be what I'm going to make. But then people can actually implement that into their games. Like if I was, the guys remade PT on it, and like he could have just looked up phone, and then my thing comes up and he can just plop that in his game like it's nothing. Like it's just insane, man. It's so clever the way the assets work, and the way that you don't have to worry about copyright and all this stuff, and it's all just there at your fingertips, and you haven't got to worry about any of that stuff, and you could just have access to everything straight away. It's just insane. It's so clever.
And apparently Media Molecule and probably other developers as well were already scouting the landscape for really talented individuals and like pulling them in and saying, yep, that guy knows what he's doing, he's got some creativity, let's bring him into the studio and see if he can help us do some cool stuff. And it's really good for the industry. I'm really excited about it. I wish I had a PlayStation.
I'm gonna pick it up. It's £30 on base.com at the minute, which is insanely cheap for what it is. And I just want to, even if I just get it, have a play about for a bit, I need to know what it is from my own experience. I can't keep listening to what everyone else says, because every time someone else speaks about it, they just say you kind of just have to do it yourself. To be honest, it's not really like you can't. There's no easy way to explain what Dreams is. It's just everything.
Exactly, it is like everything. I've been obsessed for a couple of days just watching videos of random gems that people have found on Dreams, and there is some mad stuff out there, like some crazy creative people. And yeah, I think you should definitely get it, even if you don't make anything yourself. Just see what people
I want to have a go. I need to.
Yeah,
even if I just make
the perfect
things.
game for you.
Go on.
You still got the VR, right?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Have you still got the Move controllers? Or did you get rid of those as well?
No, that was a part. I sold it with the VR.
Okay.
I was broke, man.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. You can still use the DualShock.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it's quite good with the DualShock as well. To be fair,
particularly for the coding. Well, it's not really coding, but the logic side of it. Apparently, it's really good for that, and really good for animating on the DualShock. Supposedly.
I don't know what logic is. I don't understand that.
Okay, well, I'll give you a tutorial someday on the basics of game logic.
Please do.
Yeah. Let's have a dream session. Let's make a Praise the Pickle game about our mascot.
Oh, man, you just ruined it. That was my idea. I swear to God, man. I was like, you should do this, and then blah, 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 talk over, and then bam, you come in with your bloody idea because I can't get a word in. No.
Sorry, Kevin, what was your idea?
No, you've already said it. It's not even my idea anymore.
I didn't steal it. You can't blame me for stealing.
You didn't really, no, because you had... Oh.
Sorry, Kevin. Let's pretend Dan didn't say it. Go on, Kev. What's your idea?
No,
apparently Kevin's got...
You can dip your toes into your creativity with making a Praise the Pickle game.
Oh, Kevin, that's such a good idea.
Oh, go suck your cat.
Man. Why didn't Dan think of that?
I never would have thought of that. Oh my God.
I've decided that I'm buying it now. I've just found out that someone has recreated the whole of the first Silent Hill game in Dreams, so that's happening.
That was quick.
Yep.
How long has this game been out for?
Well, it's been in closed beta for donkeys, so people have been making stuff on there for ages. So.
Yeah.
People got to get into donkeys to do it.
Oh, gosh, shut up.
That's a weird way of putting it.
Alright, any more?
That's all. I wanted to bring that up as part of the news because I think it's fascinating and I can't wait.
Is.
So
I'll order it today, and then I'll try and play a bit this week. You coming on Monday, aren't you, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get it today then, and then we can tomorrow even, and then we can have a little play on Monday. It rhymed.
Yay!
It rhymed. Oh.
Kev, just scrape out. Can you just stop stealing other people's ideas? Jesus.
I can't get a word in ever, right? Come on.
All right. News is finite. So
we should let Kevin get a word in and talk about what he's been playing.
I agree. Kevin, get a word in and talk about what you've been playing.
Well, there's not much point. You'll probably steal it later on anyway.
Salty, Jesus.
Okay, I have played... I'll start with the game I've played the least, being Void Bastards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very lost in the game. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Really?
How? I'm just going from one ship to another ship, and then I'm killing things, collecting a lot of oil, and then going back to somewhere else. And
all right, so basically, when you get to a new, when you like hover over a level or like the next ship to board or whatever, I think they're yellow and they're like the quest items that you need to progress to the next area.
Okay.
So it will say what's on the ship, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll say food, oil, whatever, yada yada, and then some of them will be yellow quest items, which are the things that you require to progress in the main story, sort of thing. So basically, just navigate the area to find the places with the quest items in, and then get those, focus those, and then in between that, make sure you have enough oil and food to keep you going between the quest levels, basically.
Oh, so you do need the oil and food to do things? Because if I have an abundance of everything.
Yeah. You need it to... So you don't have to just travel one space. You can travel, like... If you've got enough oil and food for it, you can travel, like, 10, 15 spaces if you want. Like, it's not...
Oh, okay.
So the oil and food is just the resources you need to be able to travel between the separate things.
Okay.
What do you think of the game, anyway?
The shooting took me a bit of time to get used to. Because it's a very...
The shooting.
No,
Always the shooting. He's going to tell us about the shooting in the gardens between next. You watch.
It's just a bit... because it's a different type of game. The way that it's the art behind it, it's something I've never experienced. So the first time it came to actually me like shooting someone or doing something, the way that the art is.
I do know what you mean. It has a.
It's almost like there's never a travel time ever. It's you almost click a button and then a little kind of number comes off of the enemy, or like their health goes down. There's no.
It's almost closer to like the original Doom.
I was exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it's got a
I'll
proper
give you that,
old school Doom feel.
Yeah, Doom. That's I could link it a lot to that. Yeah. So in terms, and the aliens are very they're very samey, a lot of them.
Yeah, they've repeat. I mean, there's a lot of the same aliens are used.
And I get lost a lot as well.
God. I'm surprised. I thought you'd be all over this game. I'm surprised you're not.
I think it was just at the start. I kind of thought, I was like, I'm just getting lots of oil and lots of food and drink, and I don't really know what my objective here is because I'm just going from ship to ship to ship, just killing everything.
Well,
and
you sort of you go to the ships, you loot everything and leave, but then you need by looting things you get new equipment, and then you can face harder ships and things like that.
I think it's because I haven't faced a hard ship yet. I haven't faced anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe I need to get to a level where it really challenges me, and I'm like, okay, I've got to do a bit of side work. So
yeah, have you come across any of the big dudes yet?
I came across one guy that I thought to myself, I was like, okay, you're a bit of a tough mother trucker. It took me a bit of time to get him.
So there are a lot of enemies that require different sort of tactics to kill and different weapons and items, and like for example, there's this what is it, like a little cat robot or something that's like a bomb, and you sort of throw it into a room and run away, and it sort of like gets all the enemy's attention, kind of like a pipe bomb in Left 4 Dead sort of thing. Pipe bomb, is that what it's called? I can't remember.
Or a monkey bomb.
Monkey bomb in Call of Duty, yeah. So it's kind of stuff like that, and there's loads of different ways to approach things, and you'll enter different ships that have different characteristics as well. So you might walk into a ship and the electrics go down every 2 minutes or so you need to find the generator and keep looping back round to the generator to get to new areas because all the automatic doors shut and stuff like that. And there's loads of interesting mechanics in it.
Okay, I've just got to dip my toes a bit deeper.
You do. Probably a whole foot, to be honest.
And I've got big feet.
What do you think of the art style?
It's really cool. I'll give you that. It's. I've never played a game like it ever, and it really does make you feel like you're in a comic book.
It does, doesn't it? It's so clever.
It really does.
Like I can't remember what the literacy term is, but you know when it says the word that it's that thing. Onomatopoeia, is that it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
But you can by seeing those words at a door, it allows you to see what type of enemies on the other side, so you can learn what the words mean.
Oh.
And stuff like that. It's really really interesting, man. And you definitely need to play it more. And it's great because you can play half an hour at a time. So.
I love the sound design in it.
It's amazing.
That was one of my favourite memories of that game was the sound design. Just especially like you were talking about those big enemies that roam around. I remember not even wanting to or being able to kill some of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've come across them yet, Kevin, but sometimes you just have to hide and quiver for
run away.
As these things are like stalking you, and like the echoey kind of vibes and the clanging of metal and stuff. I thought it was really atmospheric. I loved it.
Yeah, like visually and audio visual, I guess you'd call it. It is a stunning game. Like very very unique, I have to say.
I think I'll probably try and get a little bit more onto it after Disco, because at the moment that game's got to be on my top priority because I mean if we're going to talk a little bit about the game, I'm assuming we've all played it. Are we going to talk about it much, or are we just going to leave Disco Elysium?
Let's just leave it to the Moonlight one now.
Okay.
Tons of games to talk about this week.
For your information, I did finally sleep, and it was a weird moment. Very weird. So as soon as it happened, I was like, "Oh, that's what you were meaning by when you sleep." So yeah, okay. And then Call of Duty. Me and Dan had a sesh yesterday. It was so good. I think we went on like a 6, 7, 8 win streak or something, wasn't it? Must be something big.
Yeah.
What, on Gunfight?
Yeah. Gunfight. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just and I got a throwing kill across the map.
A throwing kill or throwing knife?
A throwing knife kill, yeah, a throwing kill. Throw myself at the person.
that was montage worthy. That kill. That
so yeah, it never really landed. He got it wrong.
We were in hysterics, man. It was because you have to get to 6 points to win a gunfight, right? And we were like thrashing these two. And in the last game, we just said casually as a joke, we should just try and kill them with throwing knives. So I ran around and I got a point blank throwing knife kill. And then immediately afterwards, I saw Kevin got a throwing knife kill. And I was like, yes, we did it. And the kill cam was so funny because he just lobbed it all the way across the map and it landed dead center in between this guy's legs and he went flying. We were crying. It was so funny.
That's such a good game mode, isn't it? Gunfight is just the dream, man. We said it before it even came out. We were like, Gunfight, hell yes, and it still retains to this day.
3v3 is dry.
It's not. No, it's only dry because it's that particular.
The snipers at the moment,
snipers.
Yeah. But yeah, the Call of Duty still got a hot place in my heart. Have I played? I think the only one is Gardens in Between. Gardens in Between. Gardens.
Interested to hear what you think of this.
Game is wonderful. It's so pretty. It's so just mesmerising almost.
But Kev, how's the shooting?
Shooting it's difficult to get your head around it, you know. So, for people that don't know much about Gardens, do you guys know much about it?
I don't really know anything about it, to be honest.
So you play as two kids, and you're like you have an older sister and a younger brother, and from what I can gather, you relive almost memories between them two, and the memories are placed out on an island. So every level is an island that you have to traverse around, literally go round the island to the top, where you have to place a light onto an altar of some sort.
Okay.
But to do that, you have to go back in fast forward time and reverse time. So it's all about.
I remember hearing about that mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are other little small mechanics involved in it. But it's essentially you are reliving. You play out a couple of levels and then it will give you a flashback to like them two playing or them two having a moment in their front room, or it's like something to do with that level, and it's very very. It's a puzzle game I haven't had in a very long time. So much so that you guys are going to be very surprised by this. But I actually played it with Effie.
What?
I know. Effie played a game.
Hold the front door.
Bear in mind, when she picked up the controller, she had no idea how to hold a controller.
That's so interesting, isn't it? When you see someone try and pick up a controller that's never picked one up before, and you're just like... Oh, yeah, not everyone has held an Xbox controller in their life. That is so strange.
It was almost frustrating at first.
I know those feels, Kev.
just flick this stick. Like
left stick, not the right one.
But she actually quite enjoyed it, just for the fact of, I mean, she didn't really care too much the whole like background behind it all. She just cared about solving the puzzles because she struggled so much with them. But she liked the idea of how clever the game was, And
oh man, that's interesting for someone that's literally never played a game before. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good game to start. Well, maybe start her with. As I actually never get into games that
Kev,
much.
if you need recommendations, right, I've turned Charlotte into a proper gamer girl now, so I can give you the route to gamer girl goodness.
The route to it, yeah, okay. I think puzzle games would be quite a good way to get her into it because I think she quite likes the. I think it's because you don't. Although you have to think a lot, you haven't got to think much with your fingers.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So much so that she did say to not play the game until she's back. So I can't play it till she's back. Oh, actually, one thing that annoyed me is that I got quite far into this game. I'm pretty sure I was about halfway, and then I stopped playing to do something else. When I came back to it, it hadn't saved anything I did.
Oh man, that's annoying.
So I had to start.
Similar thing happened to me this week, and I'll tell you about it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So although it was kind of good because I decided to play it the second time with Effie, so we could start from the beginning. It just meant that all the levels that she was doing, I kind of knew.
It's always hard when you already know it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely tell you guys to give it a go. Definitely, because it's free on the game Xbox.
Is it one player?
It is one player.
That's good. Cool. I might.
It's
mainly because I only have one Xbox controller, but I might play it with Charlotte next. And
it's definitely one where it's definitely one kind of like where Bubba is you is. It isn't one where it's like, oh, you complete one level, then you complete one level. It's so much so that you both can put your brains together to think, how we're going to get to the next step.
Where sort of everything is displayed on the screen at one time, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
because it's always hard when you're playing a puzzle game where one person has the controller, and if the puzzle is displayed amongst an entire room, sort of thing. And one person's trying to figure something out, and then you're turning away from it with the controller and stuff. And do you know what I mean? Like, where you're both trying to figure out different parts of the room, but one person has a controller, so it's just really annoying. That's cool.
Definitely download it and have a little cheeky go.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass as well. I mean, I've heard really good things about it, to be fair. So that's
yeah, likewise.
Cool. Anything else, Kevlar?
I believe that other than trying to play that freaking Bleeding Edge yesterday, and apparently the update has now broken the game because both me and Dan got the same error.
The beta's finished.
Oh, is that why?
The beta was only on the weekend.
That would explain it.
That's probably why.
That would explain it.
I got an email about that actually. Think about it now. I got an email saying that the beta's finished or something. I've realised what that means now. That makes so much sense.
Thank you for participating.
Oh
God. Well, me and Dan actually managed to play Bleeding Edge. We played.
Have you played anything else, Kevin? Sorry.
No.
Okay, cool.
So, Dan, do you want to start on this one? Because I feel like I'm going to be really harsh, so I might need you to try and resonate some positivity into me before I just go ape shite on it.
To rip it apart.
Yeah.
Classic Ben style.
Yeah.
It's a hero brawler kind of. I'm just going to compare it to Overwatch because everyone knows what Overwatch is. It's basically like Overwatch but third-person melee focused. So in Overwatch you have lots of shooting with the occasional melee character. This is the opposite, where you have lots of melee fights with the occasional ranged character. In the beta there were two objectives based game modes. One was standard, capture the points as they appear. The other one was collect the power cells and deliver them to the drop-off. Which is kind of, samey. We've seen it all before. Nothing special there. However, aesthetically, I thought it was really nice. I did actually like all of the characters that I played. I liked the environments, and I liked the music, and the movement and the animations were really good. The maps I thought were severely lacking because they were just kind of these big flat open areas with not much in the way of using the maps lanes. Like in Overwatch, one of the key things was getting to those chokes where the two teams would be battling and there'd be these really tense moments, we'd be pushing against each other and everyone will go all in. You don't get any of that here. It's just like all these little scattered fights around the maps.
Is that more because people don't know how to teamwork, or is it just too open? Or
Lots of my my personal gripes with the game come from that, I think, but I think the map design has a lot.
The map design was piss poor. Sorry, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah,
the map design was kind of shite, to be honest.
I must agree.
It completely ignored the golden rules of level design, of like, I feel like they got lazy because it's a third-person game with like lock-on attacks and stuff like that. They didn't put any effort into angles and choke points and lanes. Lanes is a really key thing. Like every multiplayer competitive game has lanes, apart from Rainbow Six, I guess. Like you have your main route, like the mid, I guess you'd call it, and then a couple of off-center routes, sort of thing. This one was just all over the place, man. It was just
there was still an element of that though.
An element of it, but it's something quite easy to get right. You just. I
just think it was a bit too open, to be honest. I feel like the lanes that were there were so wide and like.
The map didn't mean anything. The map could have been on just a completely level playing ground with no obstacles whatsoever, and it wouldn't have really made a difference. It didn't really.
Yeah, so the map design was lacking quite severely, I agree.
Yeah.
But I thought the actual gameplay was quite good fun, and I could see a lot of potential there for it to be a lot of enjoyment when you have a team that's working together well. I do see the synergies there. I do like the way that the characters interact with each other and how that might play into more competitive games. But obviously we were playing the only game mode there was, which was basically non-ranked casual, and it was just people running around and working out what their skills did and trying to get kills, and I don't think it highlighted the full potential of what this game could be. But that's generally my thoughts. How do you feel?
You failed, Dan. You're supposed to resonate positivity, but
it was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I thought it was quite shit. As somebody that has played many hours of League of Legends, it didn't have much in the way of synergy. I didn't think the combat was really kind of boring, if I'm honest. Like, I think one of the things I compared it to, obviously comparing it to League, you got your 4 abilities like this. You have 4 abilities, but then you have all your active abilities and stuff like that, and different builds and stuff like that. This was just 4 abilities which do something, and that was it, really.
But isn't the whole point? Is that it's the start of it's almost giving you a base idea of what the game is going to be, and then they'll evolve from it? Or do you reckon that is kind of what it's going to be?
It's fundamentals. The fundamentals are the things that are the issue, right? So if you compare it, let's compare it to the obvious ones. League of Legends, there's just so much more versatility in it. You can do so many more different things, and the synergy actually works really well if you play it right and stuff like that. In this, you're playing a game which is mainly close quarters focused with lock-on abilities, so it's kind of like, what's even the point?
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, everything just locks on. There's not really much skill based to it.
Yeah,
it's just,
I get what you mean. I mean, lock-on abilities are just a bit dry. That's kind of where you need the skill kind of coming in.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't much skill to it at all, if I'm honest. It was just the only skill in the game was using your abilities at the right time. But that's you've only got 4 abilities, no active abilities, no builds or anything. So you've literally, the only skill required is to make sure you fight at the right time and use your abilities at the right time. That's it.
I agree with the skill ceiling not really being there. I don't think there's any potential for you to get really good at this game and feel like you've just carried your team to victory, because there's not really much of that. You might be able to get good at parrying and dodging and timing a few things, but yeah, generally I feel like a victory will purely come from team synergy, and none of it will come from personal skill.
But
which I think is a problem.
That is a big problem, like a big problem, because it's hard to explain. This game is nothing. It isn't anything. It's just it's basically the next Battleborn. That's what it is. Like the next big flop.
That's harsh.
No, it's not. Honestly, I can guarantee this game is going to flop so hard. And the only reason it will do remotely well is if I think it's coming out on Game Pass. So I assume it is because Xbox own Ninja Fury. Yeah. So that's the only reason it will do okay to start off with. But there is nothing to this game at all. Even if they adapt from that, the level design is poor. The character design is fine. I mean, it's okay. I don't think the characters had that much personality in comparison to like the trailers and stuff they showed before. In the actual game, I thought they were really bland. The combat was fine at a push. Like it was kind of poor again. Like loads of lock-on abilities. It just made it poor. I don't know. I didn't have high hopes for this game anyway, even before playing it. But I am even more disappointed than I could have been, I think.
I think it's not as good as I thought it could be, based on what I've played so far. I don't agree that the characters are bland. I really like the characters. I do think that it's not going to do well as a strictly competitive game. I think it will get competitive, but in a kind of casual way. And one of the reasons it might do well and last a bit longer than you expect is that it's so easy to just jump in for a quick game and then jump out again. Whereas with League, there's such a high skill ceiling that, like, for me the other day, I tried to play League the other day. I'm not even going to talk about it, but I played like two, 3 games of League the other day, and it was just overwhelming. Like trying to learn everything and looking at all the different builds, then going online to see the build orders and guides and stuff. So much information to take in. If I ever wanted to stand the chance of getting anywhere near a reasonable level on that game, I'd have to put in so much time, and I just don't have that. And I feel like this game, even Overwatch, kind of has a pretty steep learning curve.
Not at all. No, Overwatch. No. Overwatch, you can play it at any level from a first-person shooter perspective. Like you can play it so many different styles. You can just play healer if you want. You can do whatever. Yeah, you're never going to get good at it unless you put loads of time into it. But I think Overwatch is one of the most accessible games out there, to be honest.
Yeah, but I still think that if you want to get to the point of winning games, everyone kind of has to pull their weight in Overwatch still. And if you're really bad at it, then you're just going to start letting people down. And there is a bit of...
Yeah, but it's not a massive learning thing. The only thing you really need to learn in that is what the counters are. That's about it. Everything else is really accessible. You can jump into a game. If you've never played it before, when you're attacking, it's like follow the red marker to the objective, and it just shouts out what you need to do. And every character, you just press a button and it tells you everything you need to do in really black and white English. And fine, Bleeding Edge might be really simplistic and easy to jump into, but it is not fun. Overwatch is fun. It's a fun game and it feels fun to play. Bleeding Edge does not at all. You jump into it and you lock onto enemies and swing a stick about a bit. And
I disagree. I think the gameplay's fine. I think the combat isn't hugely complex or anything, but I like the fact that you can have never played it before, and as long as you jump in and follow your team around and work together, it will take you 3 minutes to learn what your skills do, and then that's basically it. You just have a laugh and you run around and you try and win some games. And
I think a part of enjoyment nowadays for myself anyway is when there's a bit of skill that is required to make a moment successful, and you pull that skill off, and you are successful. There's a bit of enjoyment, but I don't know. Just going by what you said, if everything's a lock-on, then it takes a bit of.
It's not as simple as just locking on and tapping a button.
It quite literally is.
But did you even parry once? There's the whole timing thing of parrying abilities.
Yeah, you can
and
parry.
Opening a window there. There's the dodge rolling. There's the stamina system. There is a little bit of depth there. It's not just.
Sounds like Dark Souls.
No.
You've got lock on, dodge, parry, roll.
I hate how everything's compared to Dark Souls now. Yeah. No. It's just there's enough depth to if you were going up 1-on-1 with full health against another player that's playing the same character as you on the other team, for example, which is weird, but still, you could have a nice little duel there, unless you're playing one of the ranged characters, which is kind of.
But can you? What would the difference be? You both have the same skills and they all lock on. So how? Whoever strikes first wins.
Had this. No, because that's not how it works. I was playing, for example, I haven't played enough to know their names yet, but the guy with the electric guitar, like the skeleton robot dude with the. And I ran across the map, and the same character on the other team came running towards me. We're both at full health, and we had a proper little duel, and he beat me, and I knew why he beat me. And it was a combination of his. Lots of characters have like a movement ability to get into combat quickly and get out of combat quickly. A combination of rolling out of the way at the right time, of dodging his sort of short-ranged.
Yeah, no, you are right there. That there is that element to it, like timing things. All the skill comes around timing, basically. I guess if you put it that way, because if you're in a one-on-one duel and you just successfully parry certain attacks, or you manage to dodge through their ultimate or something, that can be the changer sort of thing. Yeah. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel that skill based. You have to agree with that, right? It doesn't feel like it's a massive skill based game.
I agree. There's not a massive skill. There's a very low skill ceiling to it. There's not much you can go beyond. Once you know how to play your character well enough and know the basics of the abilities, there's not much more to learn after that.
Do the abilities vary a lot?
The variation between characters is pretty good.
Okay, that's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not massive.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah. No, it is. No, that's a lie. I was thinking of just two particular abilities. That was the same. But yeah.
Okay.
I think the character diversity is really cool. I think it's just going to fill up this nice gap of casual competitive games where you don't want to go hardcore into ranked leaderboards. It's not going to become an e-sport, but I don't think anybody's expecting it to. And I think it's going to hang around for a while. I think people are just going to be playing it casually as one of those jump in with your mates, have a few games to mess around and jump out again, and not really take it seriously.
The problem is,
I think that's okay.
We can't even put a bet on this because it's on Game Pass. This is a complete we're never going to be able to guess whether its success came from the fact that it's on Game Pass or not. Because I reckon if it was a Steam £40 purchase, I reckon it would flop hard.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but because it's on Game Pass, it might do okay for a bit.
I almost think it should be free to play from the get go.
Yeah,
not just
if it was free to play, if it was free to play, just a standard free to play game, then fine. I'm not going to dig into it that much because of that. I just feel like they have overhyped it a bit. That it's been one of people's highlights from all these different E3s and press conferences and stuff like that. And I've said from the start, I was like, it doesn't look that good. But
that's not their fault though. Like if you
look
at
I know.
Their actual presentations, they're so laid back and chilled about it. And like the managing director of the studio, I can't remember her name, but she's just like kind of a little bit casual. She wears like a silly hat sometimes, and she's just like, it's going to be a bit fun.
They're a victim of overhype, without a doubt. And the main issue, the reason that overhype came to be was because this is their first jump into this territory with Xbox behind them. Xbox bought them a year and a half ago, whatever it was. And, they bought them and they said, right, let's get your next game out there. Let's do it. Boom. Let's do it. And because of that, it's just been overhyped. Xbox been talking about it like it's the next big thing, and it's just not at all.
No, it's not going to be the next big thing. No. I agree.
Yeah.
I had fun with it, that's what I'm saying.
I did not, but that's personal preference.
It's because you suck at it, Ben. Even though it's got a low skill ceiling.
Can you suck at it?
You can't even... No, not really.
Exactly. Anyway, that's Bleeding Edge. Do you want to talk about your other games, or do you want me to do mine?
Should we do the one that we both played?
Oh god, what we've both played?
Lightmatter.
Oh yeah.
You start on this stuff.
Lightmatter! Okay, so Lightmatter. I was looking for some new games, and the new page on Steam is just god awful. So I was checking out some other places. Looked on Humble Bundle, and one of the first games that came up there was Lightmatter. So Lightmatter is basically a game where you have to manipulate. Okay, so the main premise is the shadows kill you. So you have to manipulate light to progress through like a scientific base, like a scientific lab
cool.
thing. It's really good, man. I absolutely loved it. So, Kev, you liked Portal, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone likes Portal, play this game. It is so good. And the last level stresses to me how like Portal-y it is. So I don't want to spoil it at all, but basically, so essentially, you traverse through this lab, and there's all these light sources like mining lamps and things like that, up to like the halfway point of the game, and you have to use mining lamps to sort of light paths and it's very puzzly, obviously, but it's sort of you're sort of guided through by the director of the labs, and he's just a really interesting person, really.
I thought you said director of the lamps.
Oh,
Best job title ever.
Director of the lamps. Yeah, and
sorry, just for some context, did you play the demo or the full game?
Demo first.
But you played the full game as
well. I've completed it. Yeah,
done that.
It's just great. It has this really interesting kind of aesthetic to it. I can't really describe it. Dan, how would you describe it?
Lots of focus on the edges of objects.
Yeah.
Almost cel shaded, quite muted, but very pleasing.
Yeah, but it fits the idea of the game perfectly though, because like the whole idea is the muted color palette, but it's kind of just light versus dark, you know. So you see a really dark hallway, and then you have this big bright white light, and you have to make paths and things like that. And it is just fantastic. The last level of the game I had to play twice because my game crashed. Wow. And I still regret not recording the last level because it was one of the best finale levels of anything I've played.
Wow.
Like, it was so much fun. I can't, it's not really a spoiler, it's fine. So basically it gets really intense towards the end, and it becomes more like a parkour game. So instead of just like the puzzly, you know, manipulate lights to create paths sort of thing, it just turns into like a full-on parkour game, and you have to do like basically like running. It's got very like Half-Life-y sort of physics to it. So like sort of the floaty jumps and stuff like that, and you're sort of hopping down all these hallways and stuff, trying to like stay in the light, and you have to do it really fast because the windows are all closing and things like that. It's so good, man. And then it crashed. It's like a 20-minute level as well, just full on like that, just insane. But there's no save points apparently in that entire level, and it crashed right at the end of it, and I had to restart the whole thing. And for some reason I didn't record it, and I really wish I did, because I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of it if you never play it, because it's just insanely good. But yeah, if you're a fan of Portal, play it, because it is brilliant. The puzzle mechanics are so interesting. Like,
yeah, play the demo at least.
Yeah, the demo's free on Steam. Just pick it up. It's great. Like the demo, even just the demo is a great sort of standalone thing by itself.
The demo was great, yeah, and I love the way that it tries to sell the game to you at the end. Like, it gives you literally like the humor in it is very much Portal as well, and in fact, I think it makes a direct reference to Aperture Science as well in the demo. Did you notice that?
Does it?
Yeah. It's like, I can't remember what it says, something about how we treat our employees better over here or something, unlike those monsters over at Aperture Science.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So it's very, very much inspired heavily by Portal, and it doesn't shy away from that, and I think that's really respectable. I love that. But at the end of the demo, you get to like a toll booth, and the director's like, oh yeah, just put a coin in, and then you can progress a bit further, but it's kind of whimsical and fun. And that last puzzle in the demo really stumped me for ages. But I loved it. I love trying to work it out. And once you get it, it's so simple, you know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. What was the last one before the toll booth?
Right before the toll booth there's like a little lift that you can make go up and down. and 2 like things you have to shine a light onto to open 2 doorways.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But wait till later on, man. There's a couple. So I'll be honest. I had to look up 2 puzzles in this game. Okay. I know it's so shameful of me. It's so shameful of me, but I never in a million years would have figured them out, right? Because I'm an idiot. But when it's one of those ones where you see the solution and you're just like, are you taking the piss? Like
that happens all the time, though, doesn't it? That happens all the time.
I know, but
all these games, you're like, how do you do it? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously you numpty.
Exactly. Yeah. It was one of the last puzzles in the game I just could not figure out. Like literally to the point where I was like, right, so if I do that, then I can't do this, and if I do that, then I can't do this. So it is impossible. Yeah. That is it. The game's over. I think I literally said to Charlotte, I was like, maybe this is the end of the game. Maybe they just throw an unbeatable puzzle at you and just I could not do it at all. And that they also, there's a new mechanic like sort of maybe like 2/3 of the way through with like these photon laser things, which is like the cover art for it. So you'll see them. It basically creates like a beam of light. And there's like a light source, and then you set up these like little relay points, and it creates like beams of light, which creates like a light path and stuff. And it is fantastic. It's such a good game, and I am so like shocked that it hasn't received as much attention as it deserves, because it is just great. Like everything about it is great. There's nothing bad about it at all. Even the director's conversation that he has with you throughout is interesting throughout the entire thing.
The dialogue's brilliant.
It's fantastic.
I think at one point you disappear down some secret hallways, which I know that you did because I saw your achievements. You had the same as me, but then you come back and you drop back into the level, and he's like halfway through a sandwich or something on the mic, and he's like, oh, there you are, you're back. How did you get there and all that? But it's just the timing's really good, and you hear him talking to other employees, or you don't hear their point of view, but you hear him on the phone, like talking to other people.
Yeah, it's
so
great,
you feel like the world is occupied, but it's really cool. I loved it. I thought it was great, and I'm now that you've told me the rest of the game is as good,
it's probably better, to be honest. Like most of my standout moments were from after the demo ended, so I would 100%. I mean, to be honest, just support the developers, man. Like it makes me sad when games that are this good don't get that much attention. So I'm just like, come on, just people buy this game because you will love it. I can guarantee it. Kevin, if you had money, I'd say get it, but. Yeah, all right.
I feel like it's another one of those ones that I saw like a GIF or something. It's GIF, not GIF. It is GIF. Yeah. GIF on Reddit, like on an indie development subreddit or something that I follow, and I just saw like a little clip from it ages ago, and people were like, "Oh, that looks cool. Let us know when it comes out." And then when you mentioned the game to me, I was like, "Oh my god, that's that guy that posted in Reddit ages ago." But I'm genuinely surprised.
And the way I know you mentioned it already, but the way the demo ends is brilliant. You get to this toll booth, and what did he say? He's like, "Oh, so we use these toll booths to help like visitors contribute towards the staff. So by sometimes they get burgers, sometimes they get beers, and you can buy a new elevator because you broke an elevator at the start." And then it opens up the Steam store page, and I was just like, just for that joke, I'm buying it.
It's really funny. Yeah. It's really good.
It's brilliant. I loved it. The other game that we've completed now is Journey to the Savage Planet. Oh, we're not really gonna. I've got nothing else to add.
The only thing I would say, we didn't complete it. Some people will be, if they have played it, be like, "Oh, did you get the actual ending where you go and get all the spaceship fuel and take off?" We didn't get that far because we had other shit to do, basically. But no offense to the developers, we had a really good time on it. I think overall.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was good fun. And the developers have been receptive online as well to us, and it was just a lot of fun. I just loved the world design. I thought the ending was weird, unexpected.
It was a bit, yeah. But then if that's not the technical ending, it's almost like why did you even put the credits there? It's this sort of thing. It's just a bit odd.
Yeah,
but
I think it was a fair place to end the general playthrough because you've explored all the areas, or most of the main areas, and you've done most of the main content, and now it's a matter of exploring and I think the last ending is more of a comedy sketch from what I've read, and just closes things a bit more, but you don't really need to. I think we've experienced enough of the game to say that it's good, and I would personally recommend it. I think
100%. Yeah. If like I said, nothing else to add. I've mentioned about it being annoying, like with glitches and stuff like that, but I don't even care. I didn't care about that by the end of it. I was just like, no.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're just finding things.
Yeah, I'm nitpicking. Yeah. It's an indie developer as well. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're so glitchy. I mean, I was like, oh, it's so glitchy, but I'm now retracting that statement. So good job. Enjoyed it. Loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the photo mode was great as well. I liked how the ship felt alive, and the postcards was a lovely feature.
Oh, the postcards was great, wasn't it? It made such a nice photo for the end of the game. Like, yeah, that was so. My Instagram post was like, what was it? Some holiday photos. Yeah. It was both from Journey to Savage Planet. It was good. I can't remember what I said, but yeah.
Somebody posted a picture the other day of the real life Bill Chunk.
The what?
The real life Bill Chunk.
Oh,
from the dating photo.
God, yeah, the comedy in that game is just amazing. A lot better than Borderlands, that's for sure.
So funny. Agreed.
Shall I go for the rest of mine?
My two are very short.
Right, do yours. Go on, son.
Well, 3, I completed the campaign in Wolcen, Lords of Mayhem. Basically everything I said about it last episode. It's a really good, deep action RPG with quite a few bugs and areas where it feels unpolished. But the endgame content's quite interesting.
Is it?
I feel like I'm going to... Yeah, I quite like the idea of going back to it from time to time, doing a few runs, leveling up a bit, upgrading my town. It basically introduces a whole town building mechanic where you can upgrade buildings and
that's really
resources
cool.
into different areas and stuff, and this whole new aspect of the game opens up, which is pretty cool. I think it's got a lot of replayability. I would like to play again online though, because I played it all solo, so
that'd be quite a good idea. Okay, alright.
Kev, buy some games.
Give me some money.
The two that I actually want to talk about are very short games. Well, one's a game and one is a demo of a game that's coming out later this year. The first one is a game called Lazr, without the E, so it's Lazr or ZR. And it's called Lazr, a Clothformer. And it's a side-scrolling pixel art platformer shooter type thing, which is quite heavily based around a physics simulation that this guy has built. And I've seen the simulation before online. It's basically you emulate like a mesh of cloth in 2D, and it looks like cloth and it hangs down with gravity, and you can, like, in the traditional simulation, you can click on the threads and break all the nodes apart, and you can watch the cloth tear in a really natural way. But he's built a game based around that, and it's really cool. How to describe it? Really, really intense, fast-paced, neo cyberpunk, outrun-ish. Lots of really bright neon colors, and it's all about kind of quick restarts and moving and really intense platforming with a bit of shooting in between. Pumping soundtrack. I played the demo. This is a Kickstarter game. It asked for, I think, a very fair 10,000 to be made. It's going to be out on PS4, Xbox, and Switch. Perfect for that. It runs beautifully, considering the amount of pure simulation in this game. It runs really, really well. And these cloth mechanics, there's a lot of like climbing and swinging in the game. They work beautifully. So if somebody... I'm going to try and visualize this to people. If you're hanging from a big sheet of cloth, which is basically lots of little dots connected by like a grid of strings, right? Or bright neon colors.
Yeah.
If an enemy shoots a laser through it, you'll see it kind of... You know how when you burn a piece of paper with a lighter and you get like that glowing edge and it spreads through the material? It's kind of like that. So you'll see this laser like chop the whole piece of thread, and all the thread below it will kind of slowly all burn off and tear and rip and fall down. And if you're hanging onto the bottom piece, you'll fall down with it. But then you've got these jump and dash and roll mechanics in the air, so you can dash up and grab the next bit. Sometimes you'll get like little strands, and sometimes it's really good fun. It's very difficult lots of puzzle type elements to the platforming that are quite challenging, but
it looks mad.
I think it has
it looks so good.
It has loads of potential, like the atmosphere and the aesthetic that you get. My heart was pounding, and I literally felt like my eyes were bleeding at the end of it, in the best possible way. Like, it was so intense and bright and colourful and beautiful to play.
Good old sensory overload.
Oh yeah, I love some of that. I love a bit of that. Yeah, I highly recommend it. He's got a demo. I think you have to get it from his itch.io page to find it. It's like half an hour to play through it maybe, but it showcases a variety of mechanics. There's like some customization in there. There's some side-scrolling bullet hell shooter type mechanics in there. There's lots of platforming, a bit of combat, some puzzle stuff. It's got a lot of potential. One to watch.
I feel like you should have been born in the days where arcades were a thing, because honestly, these games they seem so up your street, and it seems like all these games would have been perfect in an arcade. You know, going to an arcade, what do you call them? Shop?
An arcade shop.
Do you mean
call them?
The arcade?
An arcade?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, my brain sometimes. Going to an arcade and, you know, sticking your coins in and playing through all these games.
Yeah,
you'd have loved it. It'd be so...
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, this game is quite clearly built for speedrunning as well. I don't know if he stated that anywhere, but you can tell by playing through it that it's very catered to that. I highly recommend it. The movement is very much like Celeste, Ben.
Ooh.
In terms of its responsiveness and its fluidity. You have a lot more air control than you do in Celeste, but you also got the wall grabbing, and then with the cloth mechanics built into it, you can grab and swing on bits of material and fabric.
It looks amazing, man. Like, I saw the thing you posted on Twitter, and I was just like, damn.
Yeah, try the demo. I mean, there's no boss fight. Well, there's kind of a boss fight in the demo, but it's obviously a very early version of it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Highly recommend. The music's dope as well. The other game I've played is another really short game that I think I completed in about 2 hours or so, and I was beaming. I had the biggest smile on my face the whole way through, and it's called A Short Hike.
This is the penguin one.
Don't know if he's a penguin.
He's a penguin.
I think he's
clearly a penguin.
I mean, penguins fly, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a penguin.
Pretty sure he's a penguin.
I don't know if he is. It wouldn't make sense because there's an area in the game where it gets really cold and.
I hope he is a penguin because my Instagram post says flying penguins.
I think he's a penguin.
Oh God! What have I done?
You're a bird of sorts, and it's really kind of cute. It feels like Animal Crossing with all like talking animals with different personalities, wearing clothes and whatnot. It's 3D kind of top-down angular view, but the camera does like move around as you move around the island. Almost isometric, but not quite. Really kind of stylized pixel art-ish, like it's got this filter over the top of it. Looks really low res, but it's actually a very detailed world with full 3D scaling and
it kind of looks like they've like downscaled a game from like 4K to 200p or something. Do you know what I mean? Like all the pixels look really big, but it's not a pixel art game.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good description. Actually, it's something like that. But it's really, really lovely. You start off in a campsite. You've gone on a holiday. Initially, you need to make a phone call, so you can't get signal, and you get told by a local. The only place on the island that you're likely to get any signal is right at the top of the mountain, so just go climb up it, and that's basically it. And as you're progressing through, you're meeting all these really nice, whimsical characters, and 90% of the people that you meet in the game are just lovely, kind, gentle, warm characters that you enjoy interacting with, and they're all kind of quite supportive, and they're all helping each other, and they're all helping you, and it's all like very much give and take and this lovely community feeling to it, but it's more about the way you move around the world. So it's got some climbing mechanics. You can jump off any platform and glide around. You can do some kind of double jump things and flap your wings, and the progression in the game comes from unlocking more height abilities, so you can climb a bit longer or you can fly a bit higher. And then as you start progressing through, you realise the scale of this mountain that you're on is actually quite large. There's tons of mini games in it as well, like there's fishing, and you can dig for treasure, and you can kick balls around, and just lots of silly little things that you can do, but just nice, fun things that you might just do at a campsite, I guess, with people.
It sounds it just sounds pleasant.
It's so pleasant, but the movement in it is what makes it. So you can go to a ridge high up in the mountain that takes you 5-10 minutes to get to, and then jump off, and you can glide anywhere. And you can literally glide around the entire island. And to put it into perspective, it probably takes a good few minutes, like 3, 4, 5 minutes to glide right to the bottom. Like, it's huge. You can glide around for ages, and the music's lovely, and it's just so tactile. And it just left this nice, big, full, warm feeling in me when I finished playing it. Like, I felt like I'd been on a little holiday, like a weekend break. In a way, is like ironic as that is, I really highly recommend it. For I think I paid £5 for it.
I think it's £6 on Steam. Yeah,
it's such a beautiful little game, and the map design and the intricacies of it, and the game, just the core game design principles that they followed to make this are masterful. They've made it's such a well-made game from start to finish, just in terms of how everything fits together. That I can't recommend it enough. It's so nice, so good.
I might give it a whirl.
You can't miss it for a £5, man. Yeah. It's such a nice game.
I love a good short game as well.
Yeah, it's a short game, but there's also lots to do and go back to and unlock, and lots of little side activities to do. You could probably get 3 or 4 hours out of it, I reckon.
That's admirable.
Yeah, it's a nice little amount.
Yeah, and if you're having it's one of those games that I would say to people, if you're having a bad day, if you're feeling a bit stressed out, got your knickers in I shouldn't say that. If you're having a bad day, play this game and you're probably going to feel a bit better afterwards.
I'll save it for then.
Yeah, or don't play it when you're having a good day and it'll get even better.
Nice, cool. I've played a lot this week, and I'm gonna.
Oh God.
There's one that I want to talk about in a bit more detail, so I'll quickly run through the other two. I played Unravel 2 with Charlotte. It's great. It's a
full review.
You play as two little dolls made of yarn, but the platforming and puzzle style mechanics are just really fun. Like, you can swing each other around and stuff. It's kind of like Heave Ho. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just a really pleasant game again. There's nothing really dark or dingy about it. Like, I don't know, you just sort of progress through the level, and if one of you does the platform section, the other one doesn't, you're connected by a piece of yarn, so you can just pull them up. Stuff it's great. Like, it's such a nice, pleasant game to play, but only play it with someone else. By yourself, I can imagine it being quite dull.
Yeah,
like, the game shines in co-op. So I don't. It's been out for donkeys now. I don't want to play it I don't want to talk about it for too long. So that's it. It's great to play, and it's a great couples game as well. Because if your wife is bad at the game or your partner is bad at the game, you can just do the platforming for them and pull them up. So it's all good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. The other game I played was like a BAFTA award-winning mobile game called Florence.
I've heard good things about it.
Yes, it's like 20 or 30 minutes long.
Oh wow, it's really
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a little story game. I'm not going to talk about it at all. Play it. It's £3
Really?
or something on the App Store. It's on Switch, it's on Steam, it's like everywhere, and it's just really nice.
I knew you'd say that.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, because it's a 20-minute, half-an-hour game. If I talk about any part of the game, it spoils it. because it's good at what it does in terms of the gameplay, and it's good.
What's
in
the
terms
gist of
of
the game? Is it a platformer? Puzzle?
None.
Don't give in to his demands.
No, it's none of those. It's its own thing. I can't explain it. Like, it's kind of like reading a storybook, but an interactive storybook, I guess. But it's good, and it is nice, and it's pleasant. And leaves you with a little warm feeling at the end, like a short hike.
Oh.
So play it, Dan. You definitely play it. Kevin, I don't know. He's got a bit of a cold heart, so I don't know if he'll like it. But and then the last game I've played. Oh boy, this game. Last week, right? I was talking.
Made you turn Asian.
Was it last week? Oh, Jesus. A few weeks ago, Charlotte asked us what book we would want to turn into a video game, and one of my answers was The Shining. And then, conveniently, this week, a game called The Suicide of Rachel Foster came out, and it's kind of like playing The Shining. So, like, so uncanny to the point of like that the intro is the driving up the mountain thing, like at the start of The Shining with that boo 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 music, and then you basically go to your deceased parents' hotel. They own a hotel, and you go there to inspect it before selling it. And then there's a snowstorm, like in The Shining, and and that's kind of where the similarity ends, to be fair. So, and you get stuck there. There is this person that you talk to a lot called, what's his name? I'm going to say Isaac, but I don't think it is Isaac. And he basically has you find a phone, and the phone rings, and you answer it, and it's this guy, and he's a really pleasant sounding man. And you chat with him a lot, and you chat with him about everything, because you're basically isolated in this place by yourself, eating like canned food and whatnot. And the game is so atmospheric that it is terrifying. I've never experienced a game like this, because it's not scary, but it's terrifying. Like, there's nothing on paper.
You understand they basically mean the same thing.
No. There's nothing on paper that should scare you. Nothing at all. Like, you know, in every other horror game you can say, oh, it's the random noises that happen. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's that. It's not. It's just the most well-designed. It's not even a horror. I can't describe it. It's just so atmospheric that it is scary. And
is it almost like the level design is really done well? That
yeah,
it almost makes you think something's there, but nothing is ever there.
Yeah. That's probably quite a good description. Yeah. So it's kind of like that.
Like being alone in like your auntie's house at night, and the lights aren't working properly.
See, the thing is, you say that, but that is exactly what it is. It is the stereotype for it. Not stereotype, like the pinnacle of that type of experience. You know, like could you imagine being locked in an abandoned school overnight?
Yeah, like there's no
threat, but it's still creepy, right? And that is exactly what this game is, and it does it like 50 out of 10 well. Like, it is terrifying. I can't even describe why it's terrifying. It just is.
This really caught my eye.
You have to play
screenshots.
You have to play it, man. Honestly, everyone should play this game. I don't care if you like horror games or not. So, me and Charlotte were thinking of a new game to play because we completed Unravel. I was like, we can play this if you want. And she was like, is it a horror? And I was like, I don't think so. And we played it. And we were terrified, but for no reason, really. I can't describe it, but it is really... It is a walking simulator, so there's not many... Like, it's not even really that many puzzle mechanics, to be honest. It's just a very bare-bones walking simulator. It's more about the dialogue than anything. So it's you unravelling the history of this hotel, basically, that you haven't lived in ever your whole life, so since you were really young, sort of thing. But I cannot describe how good this game is. This game is up there, like 100% my number one game of this year so far, and I'm struggling to think of anything that could possibly beat it yet. Like, obviously there's Cyberpunk and things like that, but like, this was incredible. I can't even... I'm kind of lost for words about it. It was ingenious. I don't even know if it was intentionally ingenious. It just was ingenious in the things that it did. And
based on your description, the game that comes to mind, which sounds like it does a similar thing but with a different target atmosphere, is Firewatch. Did you play that?
No, so I haven't. And Firewatch was actually one of the other options for me and Charlotte to play. So it was this game and Firewatch, because they're both the walking sim style game, and I was like, something like that could be quite fun.
Because nothing really happens much in that game, and it's not really about the fear. The atmosphere that goes for is more about the feeling of isolation, and it does it all just through the occasional dialogue and looking at things and kind of the world just being there around you. Occasionally some stuff happens, but it's really immersive and atmospheric in that way. And it sounds like what you're describing, but obviously in a different
man, I can't. This is one of the scariest things I have ever experienced. I hate it. I hated it. I hated walking through those hallways. Right. I don't care what time of day it was. I don't care. I hated it. I hated walking and looking and just turning these corners and thinking, is this just a 4-hour setup for a jump scare? Do you know what I mean? I was just waiting for something to happen. And, oh man, everybody that... I don't care whether you like horror games or not, because it's not a horror game, but everybody should play this game. It is astoundingly good. 10 out of 10, 100%. Like, there is nothing I could possibly say that's bad about this game at all. Like, it's just a genius. I love it so much.
Do you? And this isn't a criticism of your critique. Do you think that people's experience of this game will now be slightly different, having heard you say there's no jump scares? Do you think the tension of having a jump scare?
I never said there was any jump scares. I said, is this just a 4-hour lead up to a jump scare? I never said there wasn't any jump scares.
Okay. Oh, blimey!
I wasn't scared. I was like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. And
no, that doesn't matter. It's got nothing to do with that. It's not about jump scares. It's not about. It's just about pure milky atmosphere. I can't even explain. It's just like if you imagine air, right? Air is the atmosphere of, I don't know, Resident Evil. Yeah, oxygen. That is your atmosphere. Replace oxygen with milk, and that's how you feel in this game.
That's a really good description.
It is, and the design of the hotel is incredible. Like, it is one of the nicest looking games I have ever seen, and it's come out of an indie studio. And I'm just like, how have you done this? Like, you saw the screenshots, I think, right?
Yeah. I've looked at a bit online as well. It looks stunning.
It's insane. Yeah. I don't know how they did it so well. It's incredible. But everyone in their uncle should play this.
I'm glad I didn't pick it up until I'd heard you speak about it, because I very, very almost did. But I was worried that it was just going to be another walking sim, because there's a lot of those, and some of them are great, like what's it called, the Edith Finch one.
Yeah, What Remains.
What Remains of Edith Finch. That was an amazing walking sim, but it had a lot of other gameplay mechanics to it that helped do that. Yeah. And then there was Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which I didn't play through, but I found, again, it's supposed to be a very atmospheric walking sim game with a lot of dialogue telling the story, but from what I did experience of it, I found it a bit boring, to tell you the truth. Maybe I didn't play enough of it to get the full vibe.
I've heard that as well.
When this came up, I was like, maybe it's just going to be another experience like Gone to the Rapture, but now that you've said that, I'm completely sold.
Yeah. And you have to, please. I need to know what you guys think of it. Like, it's just incredible stuff. Awesome.
And it's only what, 15 quid or something?
Yeah, something like that. I would pay 40 for it.
How long is it?
About 5 hours, roughly.
Cool. Okay, longer than I thought, actually.
Yeah, it's a good length. I feel like if it was any, and I can't even say that because there's still more they could have done. If it was,
do you need to play through it in one sitting? Or
I would say it's a 1 or a 2 sitting game. The longer you play through it, the more the atmosphere sets in. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have like a whole evening free, just play through the whole thing because it is just, oh man, it's milky air. milky milk, just covered in milk. Yeah.
So weird.
Milky atmosphere. That's my description.
Like that.
That's it. Kev, we got any feedback?
The only kind of feedback I'd say we've got, which I thought was quite a funny comment, was someone commented on our Instagram post to do with Call of Duty. Ben asked about if you could add anything to Call of Duty, what would it be?
To the battle royale, yeah.
I was the battle royale, and someone said random superpowers, which I thought could be obviously would never happen, but
It's good, I like that.
it's just
that would be
I'd
genius.
love bring that battle royale, but you can fly, you can laser eyes. You've got
And what they should do is have 100 superpowers, and you just get randomly given one at the start of each one.
Oh, that'd be quite wild. Actually,
That would be insane, man. It'd be so good.
You just get one where you got like a pet tortoise or something.
There's a couple of dud ones.
Yeah. One way you can turn into a rock.
Disguise.
Oh my god. Okay, cool. So if people do want to leave us feedback, Kev, how they do it?
You can go to Instagram, where you have to search Praise a Pickle Podcast. You go to Twitter or Facebook, which is Praise a Pickle, or you can email us at praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com. And make sure you leave a rating, a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, because it goes a long way and it's very, very nice.
And much appreciated.
Yes.
And that is it, yeah?
Yeah, I was all I was going to say was we are making waves on social media again, so get involved. And also potentially tease some changes this week. We might be going live with a new website. Keep your eyes out.
Yeah.
Join the mailing list.
Khalid is all I can say about the website.
It looks so nice, man. I can't wait for people to get their eyes on that. It's going to be glorious.
Yeah, and get involved, and you'll be the first to hear about some exciting stuff coming up.
It's true.
Might even be $10 Amazon gift card giveaways, you know.
Maybe.
Maybe. Right, that is it from us. We're going to love you. We're going to leave you. Until next week. Toodles.
Pickle.
Ciao.
Pickle, 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 pickle.